Ylva Johansson's Home Commissioner presentation. I beg you, if you make it in 10 minutes, considering that you are announced that you will be leaving right afterwards. Please.
Thank you. And first, let me apologize that I have to leave earlier. It's embarrassing for me not being able to stay for the full time, this time with you. And I'm, of course, ready to come back as soon as possible. You are the legislators. You have the right to have answers to your questions. So I apologize for that. So let me put it like this. Migration is normal. Migration has always been there. Migration will always be there. Migration is part of what makes our continent prosper. Last year, we had more than 3 million migrants that got their residence permit in the European Union. More than 1 million came here to work. Last year, almost 700,000 previous migrants become EU citizens. We have a lot of migration to the European Union, and we need that. Last year, more than 1 million people left the European Union. And that means that we have plus 1.5 million, something like that. That means, and we need these people. We are an aging society. What we are addressing in our new proposal is those part of migration that we are not managing good enough. And part of that is the irregular arrivals. And that's what we're addressing. But it's important to remember this is not the big part of the migration situation in the European Union. We should not have fewer migrants. We should not aim for taking responsibility to protect fewer refugees. But we should aim to have legal pathways for more migrants and more refugees, and fewer paying for the criminal networks, the smugglers, and fewer risking their lives arriving irregularly. To be able to do that, we need to focus also on legal pathways. We have proposed that we should continue with the resettlement. We are also proposing a new way with a community-sponsored resettlement that we would like to develop on top of the resettlement scheme that we already have. And of course, we also have the legislation waiting to be adopted on the resettlement, and I hope that that could be done quickly. We also need more legal pathways for people to come to work here. We have, of course, the Blue Card Directive that I hope can be adopted as soon as possible, but we also need to find new legal pathways, not only for skilled workers, but also for medium and low skilled workers to come to the European Union. Next year, I will propose a new skills and talent package. I will propose a reform of the directive on long-term residence. I will review the single permit directive for more harmonized management of migration for low and medium skilled workers. And we will develop an EU talent pool. And Margaritis Schinas also mentioned the importance of building partnership with third countries. Together with them, we will also develop new talent partnerships. And that's going to be an important part of these partnerships. Let me say something about these partnerships. When you are building partnerships with third countries, it's important to recognize that they are partners. They should not be threatened. We should build a partnership built on trust, built on mutual benefits, and built on respect. And that, of course, needs including managing migration in an orderly and fair way. Of course, that also includes fighting the human smugglers, being able to take back their own citizens, but helping third countries to develop and to also build new ways for legal pathways or circular migration together with third countries. EU is also a global player. When it comes to how we deal with protecting refugees, I think it's important because other countries in the world look at us. That's important how we act together with third countries, helping third countries to protect their refugees, hosting countries, helping third countries to deal with migration in an orderly and fair way, but also, of course, taking our share of refugees that need international protection. And that's why resettlement is so important, and that's why it's so important to defend the right to apply for asylum. And in my view, this right is also threatened. It's important for us because it's based on our values, our treaty, but it's also important globally to show that we are standing there behind and protecting the right to apply for asylum. I've been discussing with you here earlier about the risk of pushbacks, and that is violating the right to apply for asylum. That's why we put into this proposal a new legislation that make it mandatory for all member states to set up independent monitoring mechanisms at their borders to make sure that there will be no pushbacks. We also put in this proposal legislation saying that all member states need to investigate the allegations of pushbacks. This is a way to defend the right to asylum. But having said that also, everybody had the right to apply for asylum, but not everybody has the right to get asylum. And that's why it's important with the fair and proper process. And that process should be as quick as possible. I think it's not fair to leave people in a limbo, waiting for the decision. And even worse, you got a decision and then you don't know whether you could stay or not. You also need your return decision if you got a negative asylum decision. I think this is important to make the distinction. Those that are eligible to stay, and they are many, as I just said, 3 million last year got a residence permit. All that are eligible to stay should be welcomed. You should be part of our society. We need migrants, and we need also to take responsibility for refugees. So that's why we're also presenting a new strategy for integration later this year. But those that are not eligible to stay, they have to leave. Not everybody that has a right to apply for asylum has the right to stay in the European Union. And I think this is important also to show to our citizens that we make distinction between those that have the right to stay and those that have not. And that's also why we have a strong focus on returns in this proposal. This is an area where the European Union is not performing very well. I think it's important that we must be much better and actually help people to return to the country of origin when they have a return decision. Let me just also stress, not all people have the right to stay in the European Union, but all people are human beings with rights and dignity. So even if you have to leave, you have to return, we have to treat people according to their rights and their dignity. The last thing I will say, we all know that many migrants are in a dramatic situation also in the European Union, and that's what we have to address. But let me say, to be able to do that, I will encourage you, as well as the Council and the Member States, to de-dramatize the migration policy and legislation. Because I do think that we need to be calm and sober to be able to reach the agreements necessary to be able to protect people and to make sure that people and migrants will not be left in a dramatic situation. Thank you.